Hey everybody. Don't often see me in these videos, but moving forward, I think in my test footage videos, I'm going to include my own thoughts and opinions. I post a lot of test footage with mostly vintage lenses on this channel, and I usually just let the footage speak for itself. I usually flip it from log or raw that I film it in, I put it straight into 709, don't really mess with it thereafter. So people here can see what the lens actually looks like without modification. Of course, different cameras, different color sciences might affect it slightly, but I try to put as little of me into the test footage as possible, and I try to make it all about the lens so people can make an informed decision if they're trying to buy lenses. So with that said, that's why I'm here. That's why I'm in front of the camera today. How's it going? This is what I currently look like. It's been a while. Hope you're doing well. But anyway, I am here with some Minolta footage. Recently started getting some Leicas, and when you get into building a set of Leicas, you'll probably learn that a couple of those Leicas were actually Minolta's optical designs. And at times, Minolta was actually doing the manufacturing. So I, like many others, have stumbled upon this information after visiting Justin Phillips' YouTube channel in reference to the Leica and Minolta history and relationship. So I started looking at Minoltas. They're still fairly cheap in reference to fast vintage glass. This particular lens today is the Minolta 58mm f1.2. This is the MC version, the MC3. Based on Justin's findings, I just trust him that these have the most vintage feel, but with the most modern coatings. A happy medium between those two things. Produced in the 1970s, late 1970s. So very similar to my Leicas and Canon FD sets in terms of time period. So, a couple things right away. When I first got this lens, it's mint condition. Got it from a guy who got it from an estate sale on eBay. Absolutely fantastic. But when I was looking at this lens, I hear a lot of people saying that it's super duper soft, that it's very glowy, wide open, of course, I'm talking about, that it's super soft and glowy, and very bloomy. And most of the time it's unusable wide open. And to be quite honest with you, when I got the focus correct, this lens was very sharp. Now I will say at the end of its focus range, near the infinity side of the focus, it does get maybe a slight bit of bloom on there, which again, I'm not sure if it's the lens's fault or my focusing's fault, because at f1.2, which the entirety of this following test footage is going to be at, is extraordinarily small depth of field. Like, keeping focus in there is nuts. With that said, I am including footage today straight out of 709, shot over 2 days. The first day was highly overcast. You'll see that in the footage. I'm not going to mess with it too much in terms of timeline. So the first day is just all footage from a gloomy, overcast day. The second day was nice and sunny, and you'll see pretty quickly that, again, this lens is pretty sharp. Maybe I'll just have a really good copy of it. I'm not sure, but I wouldn't call it preferable to use wide open, but if I absolutely had to, I could get away with it. And then I'm also including, after the first set of test footage, which is again purely just flipped over to 709, no other changes. I'm also doing something different in this video and putting the fully graded shots, exact same shots, just two sets. One set not touched, one set fully graded right after. I'll put a timestamp right now. If you just want to look at the graded, it's right here. But yeah, so this lens, f1.2, most of the time was super sharp. I mean, not super sharp, but in terms of a vintage 1.2, I was pretty surprised at the level of sharpness, especially after all the nonsense that I heard online. So I'm also going to be doing some side-by-side comparisons coming up with a bunch of different lenses, so it's also why I'm here to introduce myself again. So enjoy. Also, a quick note, this lens flares very nicely, but it suffers from some vicious side flares and ghosting. So mine came with a hood, although it causes a slight bit of vignette with this UV filter with this hood that it came with. Highly recommend shooting with a hood or a matte box with this lens, or just be ready to put your hand up to block some flares on the sides. All right, back to you. much.